You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
Morning, Auburn family. Welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion on the E2C Network. Man, oh man, am I excited to be here talking about this one right now. Your Auburn Tigers improved to 21-1. 8-0 in the SEC in the Southeast. That's unbelievable. I can't believe I'm saying that. We're talking about Auburn here. We'll get into all this. I'm in complete and utter shock. But Auburn drops a century on the Alabama Crimson Tide in Auburn Arena. The final score 100-81 as they sweep the Alabama Crimson Tide for the season series, this time in Auburn Arena, and this time in incredible fashion, man. And to do that, I have brought in my dad and co-host. Dad, how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm a little sleepy. It was a late night last night.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the heck out of that basketball game and then had a hard time going to sleep afterwards because I was enjoying watching the Alabama men's basketball account put it up and then turn off the replies.
Well, that's what
and
we'll
then
talk about
realize,
first.
Holy cow, we shouldn't do
that because
like
our quote
sissies.
tweets would be bad. Oh man. Yeah.
And then they put it up again,
yeah.
and then they turned it off again, and then they put it up again, and then they finally let the replies go. I'm like, dude, if you'd have just done it.
Their social media, their social media intern was just like, I don't want my phone to just be, destroyed. Yeah, look, it's the other teams in the Southeastern Conference, and especially if we get, make a run in the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to get used to that. We will find you and we will bully you when it comes to Auburn Twitter. I mean, it's just the facts of it. You're just going to have to face it if you take the L to this Auburn team.
Look, even Murray State tweeted at Alabama men's basketball, goes, dude, just let it happen. We learned our lesson. Just let it roll. If you let it roll, it's much easier. You don't look like a bunch of Sallies.
Yeah, I got one thing to say about Murray State. They're going to be ranked.
They should be. There's a bunch of people in front of them.
They better. Yeah. Well, they were ranked 27th, and who was ranked 26 was Alabama. So
LSU lost.
LSU lost in front of them. Yep.
Those several
rank the racers. Rank the racers.
Yeah, rank the racers.
But no, we'll start talking about Auburn because this is an Auburn basketball podcast. Even though if it's an Auburn basketball podcast, it has to be a Kentucky basketball podcast as well.
That's why everybody came.
Yeah, everybody's came to see Kentucky. Obviously, Kentucky scored 100 points against Alabama Tuesday night. But
I will say, since we're recording this on Wednesday night, the Kentucky Vanderbilt game just finished, and Kentucky beat Vandy by 7 points in Rupp Arena.
See,
and Ty played the whole game. Sorry,
I can't.
We need to get on the Auburn
stuff. We need to get on the Auburn. We're gonna get on the tear right here. So let's talk about Auburn. Like I said, Auburn, 100 points, a century on the Tide. That's special. That come on, that's so insane. And you look at this game, and I look around the stat sheet, and I'm like, okay, who played bad? And I don't see it.
I don't either.
There's not. I mean, I could easily go to the Alabama, part of the stat sheet and see who played bad. And we'll talk about J.D. Davidson here in a minute. But no, I mean, you look down the Auburn sideline stat line, Jabari. Wow, he continues to wow me every single time he's out there on the floor. He's the best player in college basketball. KD's in double figures again. He will not go a game without being in double figures. It won't happen. I continue to believe that. Zepp only had 2 points and didn't make a shot from the field, made his 2 free throws, and he had 0 turnovers. He didn't play a lot of minutes. He only played 16 minutes. That's a lot. That's low for Zepp.
It is
man, he was playing some fantastic defense.
He plays defense as hard as anybody I've ever seen.
It's insane.
Love watching him play defense.
Yeah, but then you go guys like Walker, and it's like, okay, is he a better defender? The dude had 8 blocks. He had 14 points, 12 rebounds, 8 blocks, 4 steals. Like, what?
So close to another triple-double. I wanted him to get 2 more blocks really bad.
Yeah, that would have been good. And then I'm going to keep going. Alan Flanagan, 10 points, double figures. Didn't make a 3-pointer, but just like we said in the podcast about the Oklahoma game. I think he's still trying to get back, get that shot back going. He was immobile for, the better part of the whole preseason and beginning of the season. So to see him in double figures is great to see.
He looks like he is getting his confidence back at taking the ball to the basket.
Yeah.
He made one move tonight that I was like, no, Allen, no.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, that's a nice little layup there. I like that.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with Allen. And he's always going to give you effort on the defensive end. And usually he's going to give you a rebound. He got 2 rebounds and had 2 assists. So, I don't have any problem with how Flanagan played.
Yeah, let's go immediately. I just said all the guys in the starting lineup, and all of them played fantastic in my opinion. And I'm sure most of Auburn fans' opinions. But, I mean, look, Wendell had such a bad game against Oklahoma. It really, really struggled. And, I was getting a little worried because he struggled a lot against Missouri, even though everybody struggled against Missouri except for Katie Johnson. Dude was straight balling last night. Here's by far his best game. 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He only had 1 turnover. He has a plus minus of plus 21 in 27 minutes. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I was a little worried after the Oklahoma game because I thought people have figured him out.
Yeah.
People know to bully him and to hedge that screen, not let him get to the lane. If he gets in the lane, if he gets a paint touch on a screen and roll, he's unstoppable.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop him because he handles the ball so well, he passes the ball so well, and he can finish so well.
Yeah.
The spin move that he put on, I don't even know who.
I think it was on JQ.
Flicked it up there and it spun into the basket. That was as impressive of a move as I've seen him make. And I've seen him do a lot of stuff. Listening to Billis on the call, Billis was like, when they put number 1 in, it is instant offense. All of our runs happened, and we had 4 or 5 of them when we put 1 in the ball game.
Right.
I have nothing against Zep Jasper. I love watching
Zep's the starter. Zep's the senior.
Yeah.
Zep's the best on-ball defender maybe in the country. Definitely in the SEC, yeah.
But when they put Wendell in, I'm like, oh, run the pick and roll. Yeah. Oh, please just run that pick and roll because that dude is fantastic.
Yeah.
And you look at it, he went against one of the best defenders in the country in Oklahoma with the gold wire.
True gold wire.
That's why Duke recruited gold wires to play defense. And that kid locked him up.
Yeah.
But Alabama's got some good guards. They had no answer for Wendell Green.
Yeah.
He got in the lane whenever he wanted. And I'm telling you, if he's in the middle of the lane, your defensive set is done because he's going to lob it to our center, or he's going to lay it up, or he's going to get fouled.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're exactly right. Wendell played a great game. I mean, probably I don't see a better game that he's had, and I hope to see a better one because, I mean, if that's the case, then oh my gosh. But I mean, I'm going to keep going. We're going to keep going with this. Yep. Jalen Williams, look at the stat sheet, and I see, okay, 1 for 2, 4 points, 2 for 2 for the line, only have 1 rebound and 1 assist, and only played 15 minutes. But it's just different when Jalen's on the floor, and that shows in his plus minus, a plus 20 plus minus for Jalen Williams. What?
He defends, he plays, he hustles.
He's everywhere. He's the Swiss Army knife.
Army knife.
We love Jalen on this podcast, and Auburn loves Jalen. That dude's such a stud. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go right to Devin Cambridge. I look at the stat sheet. I'm like, okay, 8 points, 6 rebounds. That's really good. 2 of them offensive as he continues his offensive rebounding tear, which is incredible. He made his second 3 in SEC play.
Thank goodness.
I finally saw one go in. It's so important just to see those go in because Devin's been such a streaky shooter in the past. That's so huge. But he had the highest plus minus on the team at plus 23 in a game he won by 19. And he only played 18 minutes. That's fantastic. That's absolutely unbelievable.
He does things. He gets underneath the skin of the guy he's guarding. He got another call for being shoved to the floor last night. He is so bouncy and athletic. And I think Coach Pearl has finally got him to buy into his role on this team. I need you to come off the bench. I need you to hit a three. He's not going to stop him from shooting.
Yeah.
I need you to hang from the rim when we get those. When Wendell gets in the lane, you need to shoot towards. And KD made a great pass for a lob to him. He had another chance to make a pass for a lob to him, and you could see KD wave, "Hey, I'm sorry, I missed you." On that one.
I remember that.
But he's a good defender. He's turned into an unbelievable 6 rebounds. 6 rebounds. He only played what? How long did he play? 18 minutes.
18 minutes.
Six boards. He comes in and just does the dirty stuff.
Yeah.
That we need. We need that on this team. We've got scores. He doesn't need to score.
Yeah.
He doesn't need. We don't need him to score. We need you to defend, and we need you to get boards, and that's what he does.
You're right. And name just another guy like that. You look at Dylan Cardwell, 2 for 2, had 4 points. He had 3 rebounds in his 11 minutes and a plus-minus of +7 in those 11 minutes. Comes in, does the dirty work, and does what he needs to do to. I mean, that lob from Wendell. I mean, such an energy guy. He's a lot more of an energy guy. He's a lot more like KD in that aspect. You know, obviously KD is KD. He's a psycho, but Dylan's such an energy guy like that. But again, another guy that just played a great game.
He played. So look, he played his best game in Tuscaloosa, best game of his career when Walker was in foul trouble. We didn't have that problem this time. Walker stayed out of foul trouble, but to have Dylan come off the bench and give you 4 points and 3 boards and give Walker a break is invaluable. And to not feel like you lose anything at the center position. Is Walker better than him? Yes, of course. But to feel like you're going to get energy from 44 and you're going to get a guy that if they'll throw it up there, he can catch it and dunk it.
Yeah.
I don't want him to post up back to the basket and feed him in the post. That's not what he's there for. I want him to set screens and roll to the bucket and catch
the crap out of the ball
and rebound the ball every time, and then get the crowd fired up.
Yeah,
and he's darn good at that.
Yeah, no kidding. So, and we'll do this quickly. Yeah, I'd say, like, extremely quickly. We're going to do this very brief because I don't like. But we have to give credit where credit is due. We talk about all these great performances tonight from Auburn, and look, the incredible performance throughout the whole game for Auburn. But you have to look at the incredible performance that Alabama's Jaden Shackelford and Javon Quinterly put up. 46 combined points, 7 combined threes, which is half of their threes of the team. Look, 26 for Shackelford, 20 for Quinterly. If you would have told me that before the game, I would have said we lost.
Yeah.
And if they would have done that in Tuscaloosa, we would have lost.
Yeah.
And if they do that to Kentucky Saturday, they will win.
By the way, we need them to win. As hard as it is for me to root for Alabama, I want Alabama to beat Kentucky. That way we get 3 games on them. However, so let me add to that a little bit. The threes that they were taking were guarded for the most part. There was a couple. There was one on a fast break where Shackelford went to the 3 and could just stand there, and it was a pregame 3, and it obviously was going in.
Yeah.
But they were guarded and they were deep. Those two can play. Those two can play in the NBA. That they are really good at getting to the rim. Quinterly in the second half was getting to the rim and throwing balls 15 feet in the air to get it over Walker, and it was going in. So those two are really good. They don't have anybody else.
No.
And when I say that, I mean anybody else.
Well,
they were bragging about getting the 5-star away from Auburn during the recruiting period. Hey, we got JD. Y'all didn't get JD. See, we're the program on the rise. JD had 0 points.
He had 0 points. That's the worst game of JD Davidson's career. 0 points, 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, 0 rebounds. Once KD picked his pocket early in that game, it was over. It was done.
It was over. And he is a fantastic athlete. as shown by his dunk over Kessler.
He'd be a great safety.
He's a great athlete.
You know, Saban's like, what are you doing with my safety?
You should play with me.
Yeah.
But he came out apparently before the game during warm-up and was playing to the Auburn student section, trying to get him to be louder and all that junk. And then you come out and you put a goose egg on the board where every Auburn student in that student section scored exactly the same amount of points as you did.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
Man, I scored the same amount. You and I scored the same amount.
We scored. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Well, but no, what's even better is that
you put on your glasses
and Sabrera scored 5 times as much as he did. Preston Cook out of Auburn High School and Sabrera out of Mountain Brook, which Jay Billis called a tough area or something like that. They scored 5. 5-star JD Davidson had the goose egg.
Yeah. Yeah, well, 3-star Wendell Green had 23. You know, Zepp was a 3-star. He had 2 and played out of his mind. Javon Quinterly was a 5-star. He had 20. And, Preston Cook was a preferred walk-on out of Auburn High School, had 2 points. Sombrero was a forward out of Mountain Brook. He had 3 points and got the century mark on the free throw, which I was so nervous. Oh, my goodness.
I was so
like, nervous for him.
No way he's making that free throw.
He can step up and he drilled it, too.
Look, he shot it and turned around, walked to the other end like that ball's going in. Yeah. I got no doubt.
Yeah. Well, that's Bucky ball right there from Mountain Brook.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That tough area of town across the tracks, according to Jay Billis.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever, Jay.
Not sure how you define tough area of town, Jay, but Mountain Brook ain't it.
Yeah. But no, Alabama scores 35 points without Shackelford and Quinterly in this game. That's absolutely sad and a horrible performance by JD Davidson. And look, no matter what, if they score 81 points, I think they beat Kentucky. But JD Davidson's got to be better than that.
Yeah, in Coleman, in that airline hangar that they have over there, that is that.
Where are they tearing that down?
Nate Oates was talking about how cool it is to have a bigger building than ours.
Yeah, let's test the decibel meter and the tickets sold.
And apparently the board of trustees over there has voted to change the arena and get it to between 8,000 and 10,000. Who's copying who here?
Yeah.
So anyway, if they score 81 on Kentucky and Coleman, they'll beat Kentucky.
I think they win.
I don't know that they can beat Kentucky, but you're right.
They don't have a big that can mess with Oscar Sheway. No. But if Shackelford has 26 points, he can beat anybody. They really can.
And Quinterly
and they've shown that.
And JD does some athletic, freaky stuff.
You got 90 points.
Then you score and you're going to win.
You're going to win.
Hey, Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
Enough talking about that crap poverty of a program over there to the left. But no, let's talk about more of the team stats in this game. pure domination from Auburn. You score 100 points. You only made 5 threes. You scored 100 points. And that's because you shot 39 free throws and had 52 points in the paint. Alabama had 22 points in the paint.
Wait. I've heard from Alabama fans on Twitter all day.
Oh, yeah.
The officiating was horrible. We shot
really
39 free throws and they shot like 12.
Well, if you actually go to the shot chart, you can see where Alabama's shots are from and where Auburn's shots are from. And there's your explanation right there, Alabama fans.
It's a philosophy thing. It's we're going to shoot threes because we think that's how we're going to beat you.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, we're going to try to bully Auburn and rough them up a little bit and see if they can stand it. That's what a lot of teams are going to try to do to Auburn.
Yeah.
And look, that's how they beat Gonzaga.
Yeah.
They knocked that skinny kid down 500 times. Every time down the floor, they knocked him down.
Yeah.
And he's a stick.
Yeah.
And he was easy to knock down. You're not going to knock Walker Kessler down like that. And if you try it to Jabari's going to put a turnaround jumper in your face where you foul him and it doesn't get called.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, when you slap Wendell Green in the forehead when he's laying the ball up, it's usually a foul.
Yeah.
Don't call that. But look, I've heard all day, y'all shot all those free throws. Yes, because we were playing inside the paint. You all were playing outside the paint. It's really not that hard to figure out.
It's really simple. It really is. And you're exactly right. I mean, you just nailed it right there. But you continue to look at the team stats. Auburn had less turnovers. Auburn out-rebounded them by 7. Auburn actually had more second chance points in this game, only by 2. Auburn had 24 more bench points, had 16 more fast break points, had double the amount of blocks. The only stat that Alabama leads in this is assists. And that kind of shocks me, to be honest. But JQ was fantastic.
He was great.
He was really good. But this is pure domination. This is a sweep. This shows who the better program is in this state. This shows who the better team is in the state. This showed who the better 5-star was out of the freshmen. Even though you probably could have looked at that in any other game except for maybe the Missouri game.
But do you want Jabari or do you want J.D. Davidson?
I think I'd rather have Zep Jasper than J.D. Davidson.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather have Preston Cook.
So J.D. Davidson does not play, but maybe 8-10 minutes a game if he's at Auburn.
Yeah. No.
Of course, if he'd have come to Auburn, Wendell may not have come to Auburn. So I'm glad we did what we did.
Yeah, I agree. Enough about this absolute blowout. We can't keep talking about these poverty programs when we beat them like this. It's going to make them feel bad. But let's move on from this. Let's talk about
the Georgia game.
Let's talk about an even more poverty program. Even though the Georgia team beat this Alabama team,
yes, they did,
and picked up their first SEC win. Look, we go to Athens.
I still don't know how.
I don't know how they beat them either. That's insane. We go to Athens on Saturday, February 5th, and we play an early game, a noon game against this very, very bad Georgia team. I mean, pretty solid offensively, but one of the worst defensive teams in SEC history. They don't play defense, and it's absurd.
So I know with it being Georgia, it's not a trap game, but here's the deal. You just got off a high of scoring 100 against your biggest rival that you've got.
Yeah.
You're going Saturday to play in a building that should be dominated by Auburn fans.
The Atlanta club better get there.
Bunch of people.
Yeah, that Atlanta club better get there.
And then, but you know that coming up Tuesday,
Arkansas
is a trip to Bud Walton.
Mm-hmm.
And what the Razorbacks just did to the Dogs in Stegman tonight, it should be illegal. They beat them by a bunch, and it wasn't as close as the final score looks.
Yeah.
That's a program that's finding their footing. And look, the Alabama game was a great game. I still don't think we've played our best game.
Yeah, that's shocking.
The first 5 minutes of each of those halves were not good. We did not play well. We didn't shoot the ball well.
Yeah.
We've got to figure out, and I don't know if you switch your starting lineup and throw Wendell back in there.
I don't. No. I love Zap. I think he provides such. I think that's Zap's spot. I think if you were to want to put Wendell in the starting lineup, you'd have to make an argument to put him over KD. And I don't think you can do that right now.
I don't think you can do that either. But
because that was the original starting lineup was Zep, Wendell, and then the Devin, and then the two, studs, Jabari and Walker.
So do you put him in instead of Alan Flanagan and go small?
No, I don't. I think if you put somebody in for Alan Flanagan, I think you move Jabari to the 3 and put Jalen in at the 4. I think that completely changes the whole aspect. Huge. Yeah, huge. Yeah.
So
or you put Dylan at the 4 and then Jalen at the 3 and Jabari at the 2. And then Allen at the 1. And
you don't have a guy.
Nobody's getting rebounds against us.
So I know Bruce is working on it. I know it's bothering the crap out of it because he's started games and fallen behind. Yeah. Except for Oklahoma, we've fallen behind in every game we've played.
Yeah.
And then we came out, we had a good, 12, 13 point lead at halftime yesterday. And we came out and started the second half and Quinterly just went bananas and started draining threes. And we're trading their 3 for our 1 or maybe 2. And we're not making it. We're 1 of 7 to start the second half. We've got to figure. So a lot of times when teams are on streaks like this, it's good for them to get beat. I don't want Auburn to lose. I never want Auburn to lose. But the longer the streak goes, the more pressure is built on every single game.
Yeah, and also to add on to your point, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but to add on to your point, the more and more aggressive the other teams get as well. And, with teams like Arkansas and Texas A&M the next week and a team that just challenged Kentucky and Rupp Arena and Vandy coming to Auburn. And then you go to Gainesville against a really good Florida team. It's only going to get better and it's only going to get harder and the pressure is building.
So while I don't want us to lose, sometimes if you lose a game like an Arkansas or a Florida, you can learn from it. And the pressure that the balloon that keeps building, that pressure inside that balloon from winning game after game after game after game, the balloon keeps getting more and more pressure. If you can pop that balloon before tournament time, before the loss is the end of the season type of time, then you can bring your guys back down to earth. I think Bruce was coaching as hard with a minute left in the game against Alabama as he was in the beginning of the game. Chris Moore threw an inbound pass and stepped in bounds before he threw it. I thought Bruce was going to have a coronary.
Yeah.
I thought his head was going to split open. If I were Chris Moore, I would not have wanted to been on the end of that look.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes you've got to, I don't want Auburn to lose, but sometimes you've got to lose a game to get their attention and to let them know and to take the pressure off.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on this.
We dropped to 3rd or 4th in the AP.
Yeah,
people will lose again in front of us. You've got to be ready so that when the losses mean the end of the season, there's not that much. There's already pressure in the NCAA tournament, but if you have pressure in the NCAA tournament combined with the pressure of winning 25 in a row or whatever it is, it can be really hard for an 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 52-year-old person to deal with that pressure. So I think Arkansas is one that I look at and go, I'd really like to beat Arkansas, but if we lose it, maybe we'd learn something from it.
I agree. No, I agree. I think Arkansas is a perfect example of a game that you could really learn something and you could get tested on the road. And we're going to Arkansas because we're not even thinking about this Georgia team on Saturday. But I'm not.
As long as the Auburn team is thinking about them.
As long as we there, I think we'll be okay. But I completely agree. You could lose a game. I don't think you lose another game at home this year because you got A&M. The only game I think you could lose at home.
They've lost 5 straight.
Yeah, and they're collapsing.
They were 4-0. They're now 4-5.
Yeah, they're collapsing. And then you got Vandy, and then Ole Miss, and then South Carolina at the end, at the very last.
We're not going to lose. We're not going to lose at home.
I don't think you lose again at home, but you have some really, really tough road games. And I'm not talking about against Kentucky. I'm not talking about against Baylor or Gonzaga or Arizona or team that are just better. I'm talking about games that the pressure's big, and solid basketball teams like an Arkansas, like a Florida, and like a Tennessee, and like a Mississippi State. So that pressure is going to keep getting bigger. That pressure is going to keep adding on. The more and more wins you build, the more and more confidence that you build, no matter how amazing that you're playing, the pressure is there. And you're right. You don't want that pressure added on to the already pressure of the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament.
So the losing to an Arkansas at Arkansas is not going to hurt us. It's not going to really hurt us as far as our rankings go. Yes, it would take us out of the number one ranking.
Yeah.
But losing to an Arkansas, and I don't think it would hurt the confidence of the team if we got beat by an Arkansas at Arkansas.
Yeah,
a lot of people lose at Bud Walton Arena.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people do. So, and that's an arena that it's going to be hard to get a lot of Auburn fans in. It's hard to get to.
Fayetteville's a long way away.
You got to go to Tulsa or something and come over and come from there. But so I don't want them to lose. I never thought I'd be having this conversation about an Auburn basketball team.
I know, yeah.
It's okay if you lose a game, because it can bring you back down to earth a little bit, and it can let you start that over and take a deep breath. Right now, there's nobody breathing because it's such a huge winning streak, and everybody's talking about you now. And Jay Billis was doing your game, and Marty Smith was trying to talk about a face mask, and you couldn't hear a word he was saying because the jungle was so dang loud. It was impressive.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to relate this as we get back to talking about the school, the other side of the state. They go through this exact thing in football. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I hate bringing up football because we're in shambles right now. Yeah, I don't but they always think this exact thing. Okay, let's lose a game like Texas A&M, or let's lose a game like an Arkansas or an Ole Miss or somebody like that. It's not going to kill us. It's not going to kill us. We're still going to be highly ranked. We're still, going to be going to the SEC championship. We're still all right, but it will help us learn from it. And it'll take the pressure off of being number one and being the almighty Alabama Crimson Tide, the fighting Nick Sabans. But it takes the pressure off of that. And I have a lot of Alabama friends. We grew up in Birmingham. We grew up in Birmingham, so I know what it's like to have a lot of Alabama friends. They always say that in football. I just wish we would lose one of these games. And they're not talking about an Auburn. They're not talking about an SEC championship. They're not talking about a game that decide like a 1 versus 6 matchup or something like that. They're talking about these unranked teams on the road, especially with a young team like they had this year. I completely agree. It takes the pressure off of it, and this Auburn basketball team is seeing that exact same thing.
There's a lot of pressure. And when we get past the SEC tournament, because since the SEC tournament is would we like to win it? Absolutely, I want to win it.
Yeah.
But it's not a one and done, you're done for the year.
Yeah.
The NCAA tournament is you win in advance or you go home.
Yeah.
And the year's over. And this team is too special to go home before the Elite Eight or Final Four.
Yeah.
They are really good. The last thing I wanted to say about this team, I watched Wendell and Walker run that pick and roll, and it reminded, to draw a football comparison, so 2013 football team where Nick Marshall and Trey Mason ran the zone read. It's that pick and roll on our team now, and they run it so well that it's unstoppable when it's run correctly. And I didn't appreciate that 2013 team as much, didn't appreciate specifically Nick Marshall. And I'm relating him to Wendell Green.
Yeah.
Appreciate what's going on with Auburn basketball.
No doubt.
Because you're gonna lose Jabari after this year, and after the performances that Walker's been putting on the floor the past couple of weeks, I think you'll lose Walker after this year.
Yeah.
And this team has a chemistry that 2013 football team had. And just appreciate what they're doing, because enjoy it. Sit back and go, man, these kids can play. And if they lose, it's okay. It's not going to kill us if they lose at Arkansas or at Florida or at Tennessee, although that would hurt a little bit worse. But at Arkansas or Florida, if they lose, they lose. Yeah. It takes the pressure off of them. All of a sudden, that balloon goes down, and they go, okay, what do we do wrong? Let's just get back to
learn from it and play. Yeah. You're exactly right. But, this Auburn team does have a team standing in front of them before, very small, but standing in front of them before we go to Arkansas next Tuesday and Georgia on Saturday, the early tip-off. I think this will be as big as a home atmosphere as Auburn is, if in not Auburn Arena. So
as big as you can make it.
As big as you can make it. There's not going to be a lot of Georgia people there.
The tip-off club from Auburn is going in a bus. Several weeks ago, Georgia, you could find tickets to this game for $2 or $3.
Yeah,
$2 or $3.
Now they're about 140 a pop.
Yeah. Georgia went, wait. There's all these people buying these tickets. You need to raise the price. No, the price went up, but the reason it went up is because a lot of Auburn people, I believe, got online and bought tickets to that game.
Yeah.
So go and enjoy it if you're going. I want to hear y'all.
I want to hear you loud, just like Ole Miss and just like Alabama.
Like Ole Miss, yeah. The Ole Miss thing was like, man, you can hear them clearly.
Yeah,
it's really cool. What about, let's do player of the game?
Yeah, I'm going to do player of the game, and you can go with anybody in this. You can go with anybody that we named earlier. I think you could say for player of the game, but I'm going to go with Wendell Green coming off the bench. Are you kidding me? I can't say enough. That's his best game. He was unbelievable. 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, a plus 20 plus minus. That's incredible. He played great.
Yeah, I would agree. Wendell Green was fantastic. So I made the point in our pre-show about, I think Jabari Smith is the best player on the court every time he's on a court. But I think Walker Kessler is our most important player. And so my player of the game this week would be Walker Kessler. So Kessler had 14, 12, and 8. 14, 12, and 8 against an Alabama team that everybody in the preseason thought was the best team in the league, or one of the top teams in the league. So Kessler, 14, 12, and 8, I think is my player of the game. Again, not the best player on the court, but the most important player on the court.
I can see that. I could see anybody in this game. I could see Jabari. I could see KD. I could see Jalen, Devin, Zep, KD, anybody in this game. But we'll be back to discuss the Auburn-Georgia game this weekend, later on this weekend, maybe early next week. And to find that and to find this, you can find the E2C Network on Twitter, E2C_network, or you can find me on Twitter at Gray Oldenburg. I'm going to go ahead and let him do his thing, and then I'm going to let him get us out of here. I'm going to let you do the final outro, Dan.
Wow. Feel impressive. You can find me on Twitter at IAMCTO. So without further ado, look forward to seeing you or talking to you again on Saturday or Sunday. Go get the dogs, beat that doggy bottom, and go into Arkansas ready to play. So with that, we're out. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.